Hello, this is Egan doing an update on the high school Halloween map. It's the date is currently Sunday, October 17th, 2021, approximately 7:51 p.m. The updates this week on the map are still mostly detail, mostly on the interior. I'll fly into the building here. You can see I added this reflective floor. This reflective floor is using a technique using water, really reflective water. You could do a reflective surface, but the method that I found online was you make a really reflective water that is really unaffected. So if I fly a little lower, you can see that there's an actual underwater surface. So you can see just above it, it's a super reflective water plane, and then a semi-transparent I think it's 0.97 translucency or opaqueness. So it's 0.03% translucent texture on top of that. And the result is you get kind of reflective floors. And it is expensive to render, I mean. So here if I hit, you see I get 300 FPS. Right now it's not too bad because I've done some optimizations, but there are moments spots right here where I get 220 FPS. That means I'm getting 70 less FPS than I was getting elsewhere. If I turn on wireframe, you can see that it actually renders the full duplication of the world beneath it. So anything that's rendered above is rendered beneath fully, and it's just kind of So anyway, so if I try to minimize the amount of things that are being rendered behind walls at any given time, then it increases the FPS. You can see the difference here is 150 FPS on the top right to 300 FPS. So it's the less things that I can make rendering at one time, the cheaper it will be to render. So when I turn off wireframe, it's not as bad, but that's kind of an extreme example, turning on all the wireframes. But yeah, it's good to be mindful of the expense, because if you're playing with a lot of players, then the players will add render time cost. So it's good to be mindful of a change in the level. You've probably noticed if you've seen previous versions of the map is that the lighting is much brighter, and I'll say it's getting weird. The lighting in this map is bright. It's very bright. Sorry, let me take a drink of water quick. The lighting is bright, and it looks like it's too bright for Team Fortress 2, and I agree. It's too bright for Team Fortress 2, but when I compare it to the reference pictures that I have, this is pretty accurate to the lighting in the school. And I'll say especially this hallway, and particularly this hallway, and this hallway in particular, where there's least amount of Halloween-y stuff, it's getting really Uncanny Valley. Of course it's not quite realistic, right? But that's what the Uncanny Valley is. It's particularly, okay, for example, this hallway, I can clearly tell, this is kind of similar to the high school that I'm basing this off of, which is my high school that I went to. And I can go, it's okay, yeah, I could sort of see the layout there. It's yeah, but it's just a mockery, this isn't, some things are generally in the right place, but I can easily tell that this is just a video game, right? And then you get down here and it's uh-oh, okay, we're on our way towards realism, and it's looking kind of real, but not quite, and I'm getting uncomfortable. This is nightmarish, this is on your way towards a nightmare, where at least the nightmares that I've had, there's always a monster around the corner. You just have this sneaking suspicion that a monster is going to be right behind you or something, and it's actually frightening, because that's exactly what happens on this map. Is there's an actual monster that is just around the corner. It's it's so terrifying, but is that a good thing? Because it's supposed to be a Halloween map, right? There's a Halloween moon in the sky, and there's pumpkins all around, and it's supposed to be, Halloween party, October 31st, 2009. You know, it's based on approximately when I went to high school. I won't say exactly when, but pretty accurate. And it, especially with the reflective floors. Okay, so like, you know, seeing a big pumpkin here, it's like, okay, you know, this is Charlie Brown, like, you know, pumpkins in the hallways, and even like over here where there's like a pumpkin next to the thing, there's a big spider web, and there's a pumpkin in the trash bin. It's like, okay, you know, this is not so. It is like lowering the Uncanny Valley back into mockery, you know, territory, like up here was, you know. And I think I need to do more of this in this hallway, and especially right here and here, like in this view. I gotta like add some pumpkins or spider webs or candles or something, or bats on the walls and stuff. Like I gotta do something because it is getting like uncomfortably uncanny valley. Like it is bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. And honestly, I'm kind of too terrified to enable the monster at this point, and actually show like the progression of the map currently. Yeah, it's getting weird. Like this, okay, like even this, like the layout is similar to the real life. Like, I mean, the layout is actually extremely accurate to the 2009 version of the school, but you know, it's different enough where it's like, hey, big creepy red light. I can easily tell that that's a mockery and that such a bright red light never really existed there. And so it's weird too, because there's like bright red light here, and of course coffins, and bright red light here, and over here these red lights are kind of uncomfortably bright. And when I was designing it, I'm like thinking like, oh, those lights were never that bright. Like they were red, but they were never like this looks weird, right? But this really helps with the Uncanny Valley lowering of the curve, right? So it like makes it into more mockery territory. And it's, yeah, it is weird. This also, I tried to turn these brushes into actual chairs, and you know, like inexpensive to render chairs. They're pretty polygonal, but that's okay, I thought. But the lighting, it looks bad. The lighting looks bad. Like, what's with this like one strip of lighting? Like, it's just some artifact of the lighting in this room. And yeah, it's just because it's so dark otherwise, and there's such bright spotlights. So I gotta work on that. And like again, like this light on this fire extinguisher, it's so like it was never like that in the school ever. But that's probably a good thing. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, I added like the reflective floors to the gym as well, to the gym floor. This looks really good. This, like, it's weird. It's weird too because a lot of how I know what this looks like right here in real life is because like I once there was like an overnight how do you say, like a one of those like clubs. One of the clubs I was in was doing like an overnight event where we like worked on our club activities overnight and then stayed overnight at the school. And it's weird that this, like, I haven't seen this in like real life in like over a decade, and it's like it's weird that I'm seeing it here again. I mean, of course the details are all different, like very, very different details, but like it's also kind of similar. Like this is stretching into uncanny territory as well. It's like, or at least like this very Team Fortress 2 basketball hoop that helps take me out of it. So I think I just need to do more pumpkins and stuff. Like maybe a big pumpkin right in the middle of the hallway or something silly. Like, yeah, it's getting weird. And I know I'm talking a lot about this. It's, how long has it been already? It's been 9 minutes. I've just been talking about this for like 9 minutes, but it's just like, it's never an experience I've ever had before with level design where it is getting into the uncanny territory valley. Apparently, I was reading up on Uncanny Valley on the Wikipedia page, and apparently Uncanny Valley happens most often to people with mirrors or ocular reflections and things. And I think it's very similar to this, where the examples that I was reading was about like you look in a mirror and then something in the mirror is a little different than what you're used to. Or you look at a humanoid robot and it doesn't look quite like what you were used to, so it looks strange. And if it's like you look in a mirror and it's a completely different person, you're like, oh, that's weird. But like I can clearly tell that it's not me that I'm looking at. It's just like a photograph or something. But like when it's like kind of accurate, like everyone fly back over to the zone. Like when it's like kind of accurate, okay. Like I know I'm retracing my steps over and over and over again. I'll cut it short. It's weird. Is what I'll say. Second thing I want to talk about was work efforts. Like this week's progress compared to last week's progress. This is only like 10 hours of work. Like I haven't done any work on the progression of the gameplay in a while, actually, and probably have noticed that if you've seen the previous videos where like all the gameplay, like I spawn the monster and I just run around the hallways. It's all kind of boring. It's like, yeah, like I showed that last week. Like, what's the new gameplay iteration? It's like I haven't worked on that. Yeah, I kind of wish I was spending a little bit more time on that stuff, and I think I will next week. But I'm only working on this map basically only on Sundays, like today. I set a limit for myself when I started the project that I'd only work on weekends. This was a response to, I worked on another, like I have a day job, like I work like 40, 50 hours a week during the weekdays, and then on weekends I'm off. And back in March of 2021, I was working on a Bioshock themed map. So if you've seen that video on my channel, you go, oh, that's cool, that's pretty cool. How long did that take you? It only took like 4 weeks. But I was working also sometimes in the evenings of work days, of weekdays. And the result was just like so exhausted. I was like pretty burned out creatively and mentally. Like working professionally, it takes like a cognitive effort. And so it tends to be that on weekends, at least for the first like half of Saturday, it's like a no thinking day, or even like for the whole Saturday, it's like a no thinking day where it's like I'm just kind of cognitively deficient, and I'm just like resting on Saturdays, and I guess that's kind of normal for a lot of people, but it wasn't really happening that way for me back in September. And because the work that I was working on at the time professionally was just not as demanding, was not as cognitively technical. And so that's when I started the project, was a month ago, back in September, when things were a little bit more loosey-goosey. And now a month later, when work has kind of picked up in its technical cognitive requirements, I'm becoming more tired on Saturdays, that it's kind of even stretching into Sundays, where like last week, for example, half of last week's Sunday even, I like barely could think. And so I set this initial date a month ago on September 12th when I started the project. I said, I could probably get this into presentable, shippable quality October 15th, a 1 month project, working only on weekends. And so I set that expectation in my head. I'm like, okay, only working weekends, 2 days a week for 4 weeks, what is possible to get done? And I said, okay, that sounds possible. That sounds doable, which is just to detail the school and, put a simple gameplay loop on top of it and then ship it. Like, it's not extremely eloquently detailed. Like, the whole exterior is not really detailed at all. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Like, as long as it's presentable to the audience, which is basically just my high school friends, and that'd be okay. It's like I was comfortable with that. But then the change in cognitive ability, because of professional work demands, which is the more important, more critical thing in my life, I guess you could say. And I agree with that. And it makes sense. It just changes the ability to ship the map based on the quality, which was not even that high, like the requirements were not too high intentionally, but even then it's still a little bit too high based on the change in cognitive ability that I have. So I guess that's life, right? I probably should have assumed that the easy streak of work that I had last month was probably just like a short-term thing. And it's not to say that the work I was doing a month ago was like necessarily easier, but it was just less cognitively demanding. That's a better way to say it. It was like less cognitively demanding. So So, I mean, obviously it's October 17 today, right? Like it's, you know, 2 days past my initial deadline that I gave myself. So what's the plan? I think I could probably. Here's my plan. Here's what I was thinking. The upstairs, for now, I'm going to leave undetailed. I had set this goal where I had detailed one of the classrooms. Oh, you can't really see in here. Maybe if I do like that, full bright. This is going to make it really unbearable for a YouTube video, but whatever, I don't care at this point. So I detailed this classroom. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I could like replicate it to the other classrooms, which I haven't done yet. That's why I always show that one classroom in all these videos. Oh, I did detail these classrooms a little bit, you know, like this amount of detail I'm comfortable with, right? And then this completely empty room, and these are not even like, they don't even have ceilings right now. Like this is supposed to be the upper floor classrooms. So I think what I'll do is just leave the upstairs under detailed. I don't think I have the time. I don't have the wherewithal right now cognitively to do that. So I'll take the detailing that was in this room, try to duplicate it to the other rooms, and to this room maybe even. And then the upstairs I'm just going to leave undetailed for now. And then I'll work on the gameplay next week. And then hopefully by next week I have something shippable. Yeah, I think that's my plan. That sounds doable. I think it makes sense to cut back the scope of the upstairs. And two, right, like, sure, what I ship with as first version doesn't have perfect detail everywhere. That's okay, right? That's like, I think my audience would be understanding. I'd be like, hey, you know, here's the updated plan of what I was capable of doing. And they'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. So that's the plan. And I think it's doable. I think it's a doable plan. You know what? Maybe just for kicks, I should fire. Oh, I think I have to spawn in. I think right now I'm actually a spectator. Let me, just for kicks. What's the thing? Relay. Round start. Oh, whoops. Round start trigger. Pick up this flashlight. Oh wow, this flashlight's way brighter. I haven't actually tested the flashlight here. I was worried too, because it's like, does that flashlight also duplicate? Oh god, I'm getting like 80 frames. Okay, maybe it does duplicate. I'm legitimately getting 90 frames when typically in this hallway it's 60 frames. Oh god. When typically I was getting 300 FPS. So this is literally like cutting it down by like 80% or whatever. Oh, whoa, it dipped into like the 50s there for a sec. Wow, that's really bad. Whoa, look at that. In the 50s. This is like a really good GPU. Well, pretty good GPU. On a really good CPU. This game is more CPU dependent. So it's weird that I'm dipping into... Ooh. And there's the monster spawn timer. I'm a little worried about that FPS. That does not bode extremely well for my friends' computers, which are not as great as mine is. Okay, here's that monster. Oh god. So I wanted to see this Uncanny Valley is gonna... Oh god, it's so creepy. Oh god, it's so creepy. Oh god, oh my god. Does he have a reflection? Oh, he does. Oh, look at that. Look how creepy that is. Oh man. Oh, he just like didn't move correctly around that corner. Oh god, that's so creepy looking. Oh man. I see his reflection. Oh god. And then he does the classic skeleton thing. Oh god, that's actually so creepy. Oh my god, it's so creepy. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna kill him early. And fire Comstock. Killed him. He's too creepy for me. See his corpse. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the oh right, shaking. Stop in 1 second. After this last shake. I'm a little worried about that FPS kill. Wow. With the flashlight and fire flashlight 1 kill. If I spelled that correctly. Okay, yeah, my FPS, look at that, like it's now 300 FPS. Again, oh god. I think I might have to make a cut decision. on the reflective floor. That might help with the Uncanny Valley as well. Like, it looks really good, but it's really expensive, especially with that dynamic light. And that's one dynamic light, right? Like, if we're gonna have like several people with flashlights, I think this was an interesting experiment, but I think it's a little bit too expensive. Which is weird, because it's honestly a little disappointing that I put so much work into that, and it's like, I read when I was setting it up based on a tutorial that I found online. They're like, okay, you know, like, just so you know, person who's following the tutorial, this is really expensive. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I'll experiment. I'll see what it's like. Yeah, okay. Literally cuts my FPS by 80%. Shit. Oh, right. Well, that was, yeah. All right. That's probably going to be in this video. It's just, you know, I'll not detail the upstairs. And there's a lot of stuff I'll just kind of leave under detailed. Let me go back to full bright. A lot of stuff up here that I'll just leave under detailed. Like, won't even fill this in. Won't detail that at all. Honestly, maybe I don't even like detail the classrooms at this point. Like, maybe I literally just like do ultra minimum detailing. Like, literally just copy paste these classrooms and just copy and paste them. Don't even like care about the detail, and that's probably something I could do. I'm just really thinking, like, as stressed as I am this week, I think next week I'll be even more stressed, and then the week after I'll be even more stressed with work and cognitive demands based on scheduling. So, okay, this is more of like a tangential rant video at this point, so I'm wondering, should I even make this public? I guess so. It could be interesting. This will be a long one. I guess next week I'll go back to doing shorter videos. But yeah, that's I guess this is like bonus content, right? I bought this taunt on the Steam marketplace. It was like $35 or something. It's kind of expensive, actually. Trying to find a good location to do it here. Let me just do it here. Look, there's like these little guys that are like part of my taunt. That's kind of cool, right? And then I found that you could do them through geometry. I'm gonna find a good spot. No, I guess here's a good spot. No. This door's not gonna work. Dang it. I'm trying to find a good spot, but I can't. I guess this is an okay spot. You can be kind of like oddly specific with it. Oh, this is not a good spot. I fucked it up again. Okay, here's a good spot. Right? Look! He's like going through the wall. You can just like project these particle guys through the walls. Look how cool that is. It's kind of neat. I'll put a phantom, and like no one will even see me. They'll just see this dancing green guy. Yeah, that's it. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and you'll see more updates of it. Thanks for watching.